The Westward Expansion was a time in the mid to late 1800s when lots of people started to migrate west, and it was a massive part of history, including events like the Pony Express, the Oregon Trail, and the Gold Rush, and had the Great Louisiana Purchase that was fueled by the Gold Rush. People also had a belief during the Westward Expansion of manifest destiny, which manifest destiny was something where the U.S. wanted to expand their borders to the Pacific Ocean and beyond. Riding for a good while, main topic. The Oregon Trail was a very long trip for lots of people that was estimated to be around 2,000 miles. For the American Indians that rode through their covered wagons along the trail, this wagon led from Independence, Missouri to Oregon City, Oregon. These people riding west were looking to immigrate. There are so that they could live better life down in the west. Famously, covered wagon was a very easy way to get by during the 1800s. On the Great Trail of America, these wagons became known as the prairie schooners. Soon, some dimensions of these covered cars were 4 feet wide and 10 feet long. The wooden frame, some people think that the wagon's canvas shaped like a sailing ship, and that is the reason that they were called prairie schooners. Owing of the gold rush, there were often 4 to 6 horses pulling a wagon because the wagons had lots of cargo inside of it and precise items to the people inside the wagons, most likely because they wanted to travel. About 400,000 men and women made their large 2,000-mile-long trail. It took them 6 months to get to Oregon. The prairie schooners were usually made out of hickory oak or maple. They had to be very strong, tall on the large trail. One thing people died to stay connected was staying in the wagon trails. They were varied in size. A wagon would go 10 to 15 miles on a really good day. The type of wagons used by the pioneers were called lightweight wagons. There were other wagons called large Conestoga wagons, which were used to haul freight on the East Coast and didn't go on the Oregon Trail because they were too big for the trail. Life or death eating. The Donner Party was a very desperate time of the Westward Expansion. During the Oregon Trail, it was a time when people had nothing to eat, so they had to resort to things like cannibalism and even eating their pets, which were very tragic. If you were to lose a family member and then have no other choice other than to eat them, one day a hiker named William Foster was starving and needed food. So he decided to shoot 2 Miwok Native American men named Lewis and Salvador and ate them for food. Out of all the 81 pioneers that began the Donner Party during the horrific winter of 1846 at Sierra Mountains, Nevada, only 45 of them came out alive because so many people died from the cold and starvation. It was named Donner Party because of George Donner, the person who was the captain of the expedition, and he died one day due to becoming stranded, and he soon after died. People believe that he the very first. The Oregon Trail consisted of a 2,000-mile massive route that ranged from Independence, Missouri to Oregon City, Oregon, that is a heck of a trip. Think that wagons only went about 12 miles a day on average, and now today you could go 2,000 miles on an airplane in about 2.5 hours. I woke up one morning at the crack of dawn, and I knew today we would go pretty far with our wagon because the ground outside was in the perfect condition for traveling. So I grabbed some breakfast, and then I went to hop in the wagon with my family, consisting of my dad, age 42, my mom, age 37, my little sister, age 11, and me, age 18. As soon as we hopped in the wagon, in front of us started moving at so perfect timing. We were moving for about 6 consecutive hours, and then we stopped for a lunch break to make sure that everybody's health was okay, because people barely got by out here. Sadly, one person did not make it, and it was my cousin's best friend's mom. My cousin was also devastated, but we had to get to Oregon. We hopped back on the train and went to another 2 hours or so. And then we stopped because my aunt's wagon broke. She then had to ride with us, so it was pretty tight in there. But we made it to our next location, and it was time for the crew to get a good night's rest. It was pretty easy for me to fall asleep because I was really tired and snoozed. The Oregon Trail started in 1843 when the pioneers traveled across it. Then other people were allowed to go on the trails as well, which ended in 1870 because of the Civil War and Indian Wars.